You're listening to episode 39. I'm Dale.
And I'm Heather.
And today we'll be talking about maintaining family relationships in a blended family.
Okay, so I think with the main topic, I think it's going to be short and sweet because it's not complicated. When you have a blended family, it's really important, like Dale said, to maintain relationships with grandmas, grandpas, aunties, uncles, cousins, from the other side.
The other side. Yeah. So like okay, just want to bring it to our sort of family dynamic right now.
Sure.
So, if you're new, just sort of tuning into our podcast, welcome. Hello.
Hi.
And so we have a family of 5 kids.
You say that like it's a question.
Really?
Do we
have 5 kids?
5? Yes, 5
We have 5 kids. Our oldest daughter, Alyssa, she's from a previous relationship of Heather's. Mm-hmm. And then we have our 3 kids together. Mm-hmm. And then now we also have adopted our little one who is 5 now. Mm-hmm. And so ours is quite blended, I would say.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of different dynamics all over the place. And so one thing that when I left Alyssa's dad, when we broke up, come on, just say it like it is.
Yeah, it is.
When we broke up, I really, sometimes, like I had mentioned before, that he wasn't always in the picture and stuff. And her grandma had moved away to Mexico, of all places. Awesome for her. But like we still became Facebook friends and stayed connected with her grandma. We went to Mexico and she met us there and they had a little visit. Aunties, we stayed in contact with her aunts and her uncles and throughout the years. And so Alyssa was able to develop a relationship. Like even when her dad was absent, she was able to develop a relationship with her cousins, with her aunts, with her uncles and her grandparents. And I think that is just so vital for her to just know where she belongs, know that there's no shame, like this is her family and they love her also. And those relationships are just so, so, so important to foster. With our adopted son, the situation's a little bit different. I know that in the future, it would be amazing for him to have a relationship with his mom and dad. Right now, like his bio mom and dad, right now that's not
our reality right now.
That's not. But we do try very, very hard to maintain a really close relationship with his grandparents.
Both sides.
On both sides.
Yeah,
his mom and dad's side and his uncles and his aunts on both sides as well. It's easier for one because they live here and the other one is away. But every time they come to Edmonton, they make sure that they visit and lots of text messages and photos are being shared and things like that. And I just feel like in an adoptive situation, it's so important for the little ones to just know that like he doesn't look like us, but when he goes and sees his grandma and grandpa and his uncles, like holy smokes, yeah, that's where he belongs. Like that's who he fits with. He fits with us, of course, but that's who he can identify himself with, and I think that's so important.
Like he's white and I'm brown. Like clearly, but he hasn't made that connection yet. He's asked a few times.
Yeah, and he's
pretty
super
smart.
Cute and funny, the way that he is trying to process why dad looks a little different. And it's not that it's a secret to him.
Nope.
He is little, and I did share with him that he was adopted last year, and he was really... I think I told him when he was a little too young because he was really angry. He didn't understand. Yeah. He was mad at me. It didn't go well.
He just didn't understand. And so how does a little guy like that process?
Yeah. And so it is not a secret. I think if you have adopted somebody, don't keep it a secret because that is not going to go well. So it is something that we are going to have conversations about, but he does have a relationship with his extended family. He just thinks, oh, great, more grandmas and grandpas to love me.
Yeah. And as we talk about this, and I'm just realizing it right now, is not all relationships are going to be that way.
Yeah, for sure.
For some families, maybe it's dangerous.
Yep.
Like honestly, like maybe there's some physical limitations that you can't. And so if that's the case, then obviously this, maybe this isn't for you specifically.
Yes.
But if there are blended families and, it as time goes on, like there's more and more blended families and, there's a lot more stepdads and stepmoms and adopted and stepfather, which is, I think is great because, kids aren't being left in the system. But in a case where like ours is, we are able to do that. And what the point that we're really trying to drive home is they still have their family also.
Yeah.
And we have to be advocates for them. We need to fight for them in that sense, because like we need to make sure and foster an environment for them to know where they came from and who they belong. And when our little guy is 18 or when he's older, and who knows what the case is going to look like. Are we going to sort of stop him from finding his bio parent? No, because he wants to find out.
We will help him.
Totally.
And it won't be hard because we have a relationship with his family.
Yeah.
And also like in our daughter's case, her dad is Native. And so there's a cultural thing. So when her great grandfather passed away, it was really very cool because she had a relationship with her grandma, and her grandma took her onto the reserve, and they went to his funeral, and it was very traditional, and she got to experience what it was like to be part of that culture, and just got to witness and be a part of her great grandfather passing away and the celebration of his life. And that was super special. And I think that was important too, because culturally for her, she grew up in a Filipino family. And so she's more Filipino than any of our kids, really. She's been more influenced by the Filipino culture than any of our children because she's the oldest and has been brought up in it. And so when knowing that she is actually Native or half Native, then she can also celebrate being half Native and all that culture has to offer as well.
Aboriginal?
Oh, Aboriginal. Oh my gosh. I don't know. I'm sorry if I offended someone. I don't know the terminology.
That's okay. I mean, whatever. I mean, that's just, I'm just saying. That's just what it is.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I've said that like 20 times.
If you got offended, please don't write us. She's sorry. She really is.
I'm so sorry.
Anyways, what we're trying to say is in our instance, culture was a factor. And so you want to give those experiences to them, primarily because you don't want them to live without that.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't want to be the one that's making the decisions for them and keeping them from it. Like I think
then there's shame, and you don't want your kid to feel shameful for who they are. You want to be celebrated for who they are and the difference and the different flavors that these different cultures bring. Yeah,
because you have no idea what path that's going to lead them. Like maybe it's going to take them down a path of seeking more, and they're really going deep into their culture and find that they love it, and they make connections with other people in that culture, and it could be amazing. So why are you the one that's being the person in between that's going to stop that? Like that? Yeah, that just, I don't think that's right.
No. Okay, so what is the quickie of the day, Dale?
So I think the quickie that we're trying to drive home is that it is your responsibility as a parent to foster an environment that is healthy for them to have a healthy relationship with their extended family.